Hey everybody, welcome back to Tim Travels. It's Terry, your host, coming to you from the global corporate headquarters of Prime Inc. here in Springfield, Missouri. Just a quick thing. So Springfield, I'm always curious about why places are named what they're named. Turns out Springfield, and as I've told you in the past, Springfield's the third largest city in Missouri. But Springfield is named after a famous husband and wife singing team. Dusty Springfield and Rick Springfield. Rick and Dusty Springfield. Huge hit makers from the 60s through the 80s, I guess. Until they went through kind of an ugly divorce, and Dusty moved out and she reverted to her maiden name. You may know her by her maiden name. It's Dusty Rhodes. But anyway, that's kind of how Springfield got its name. But like I said, I'm here at the global corporate headquarters of Prime Inc. Had a logs class today, like hours of service logs. So it was good. They had a cheat sheet on how to do split sleeper stuff. Let's see if I can find that. Got this guide here. It's pretty cool. It breaks it down because honestly, I've always just been a 10-hour break guy. I never really saw the utility of the split sleeper, although I'm kind of becoming a convert to it after listening to Lyle at No Hippie Trucking and Transportation. But I gotta say, beyond that, there were some things that I just was kind of confused about. One of these epiphanies was, sorry about the glare. It's really weird there's glare because it's like really cloudy and there was just like thunderstorms. My windows are all wet and everything. But so anyway, I was just, they were talking about doing pre-trip, post-trip inspections, and that one of those can be while you're off duty. Like they were basically advocating doing your pre-trip off duty, and then going on duty when you basically start driving your truck, and then doing your post-trip on duty or whatever. So you start your, you're not 15 minutes or whatever, however long it takes you into your 14-hour clock. And that just didn't sound right to me, but like it seemed like the class was a little bit rushed, like there wasn't time to flesh things out or whatever, and because we're dealing with laws here, we're dealing with federal regulations, and that kind of threw me for a loop because the whole do it off duty, because my understanding was if you're working, you're working. You got to be on duty. You're either on duty or driving. If you're doing anything, that's work. So I'm not sure, am I going to log in that I'm doing a vehicle inspection, but say I'm off duty? I don't know how the DOT would look at that. Just doesn't, it just doesn't sound right. But I didn't really get a chance to get any more information on that, and candidly, I'm just going to go ahead and read the statute because turns out I was trained to do that stuff. I might as well use my education. The other thing that they talked about, and this is always kind of, contentious or whatever, or a lot of misinformation. They talked about personal conveyance and company policies and this and that. And let me say this about personal conveyance, because I've read the rules, I've read the Q&A excuse me, And it says you can use personal conveyance to move, you know, as long as you're not advancing the load or anything. But you can use personal conveyance to move to parking, for instance. And these are the words that the FMCSA uses on their website. They use the words nearby, safe, and reasonable. And all of those words are deliberately ambiguous, you know? Now, they're saying that, now, and I have done this and advocated for it, that, you know, like, if you wanted to go to, say, a Love's truck stop, this was the example he used, a Love's truck stop that's 40 miles away, but there's a Pilot truck stop closer, then, you know, you're supposed to go to the Pilot, unless it's full, right? Or, as I kind of pointed out yesterday, unless everybody's sick with COVID and there's no services available, I guess. Because actually we have a drop down that says moving for what's this drop down say? Let me just see something real quick. It says moving for shower, shower, meal, laundry. But anyway, I got some thoughts about the personal conveyance stuff. And, you know, they have an hour length. I think that I think a lot of companies, you know, put unrealistic numbers out there. You know, they're like I think one company I was with, because honestly, I don't pay attention to it. I'm just like, if I need to use PC, I'm going to use it, and I'm going to go where I need to go, you know. And if I want to go to a place where I can take a shower, then that's where I'm going to go. I don't care if there's a freaking spot of dirt on the side of the road that you think I could stop at. I'm not going to stop. I'm not camping. Yeah, so anyway, we had that class. It was good information. You know, like I said, I think that I think like any laws, it's, you know, it's kind of like people misinterpret stuff, or they just think they know what they're talking about and they're wrong. So, and the other thing, I gotta say this, the other thing that bugs the crap out of me is, and I'll tell you why, is when people are like, oh, hours of service logs, they're legal records, and they can be, you know, they can be shown in a court of law. And I'm like, first of all, legal records, I mean, I know that that's a scare tactic, right? It's like, and how do I want to explain this? Any document, like, and by the way, this is a famous case. See this piece of paper right here? It's a napkin. I could write on this napkin a contract. It could be like 20 words. I could write a contract on here, have the parties sign it, and that's a legal document. Okay, it's a flippin' napkin. And by the way, there's a very famous case about a contract for the sale of a restaurant in Virginia, I believe, that was written on a napkin. Very famous case. Here's the thing about documents, any documents. Anything that a judge says can be admitted and come into evidence. Okay? Now, there's a procedure that you have to follow under the rules of civil procedure or rules of criminal procedure to get a document in. You have to authenticate it, you know, and there's all sorts of exceptions to different rules. But basically, any document, whether it's signed or not, whether somebody thought it was a legal record, they all can come in a court. Okay? Text messages, you know, I've never heard anybody go, well, my text messages are legal documents. But guess what? If you're texting on your phone and you crash into somebody and you're charged with like vehicular manslaughter, I guarantee your text messages are going to be legal documents after the trial court admits them into evidence. Okay? So anyway, I just hate when people play the legal or trial. You know, people say that like it's, well, it does scare people. It shouldn't, but it does. Okay, so anyway, that was my experience at logs class, and I did gain some good experience, and so yeah, I didn't know this. Prime has an internal point system, kind of like CSA points, but not really. But apparently the highest level offenses, like people that accrue like, I don't know, 40 points, I think she said. There's apparently 5 people there's 5 people at Prime that have accrued that many points, and you got to be working pretty hard to do it. But anyway, oh, and the one thing they did talk about is like showing your logs to law enforcement. And let me say this, and they did not mention this, but let me say this. If you cannot, and that's why it's good to have like a guide. Let's see, where's the guide? I thought I had a guide here. Oh, right here. So if you cannot, if you go to, if you have an inspection and the DOT officer, police officer, whatever says they want to see your logs, if you are unable to transmit your logs or show your logs to that officer in the manner that they request, now obviously they can't just say it has to be presented by a trained elephant or something, but if you cannot manipulate your electronic logs, your device, to get them the information they need and that they're requesting, they can ticket you for that. So it's not just like what's on your logs, it's you being able to show them. They didn't mention that in class, but I know that's a thing because I worked for a company where guys kept getting ticketed for that. And so it's, you know, if you don't know, like if you're not like super savvy, having this handy dandy guide in your truck could be really useful. You could put this with your, you know, the book you have for, you know, all your cab card and, you know, all that stuff that you have in your truck, your IFTA registration. Because then if excuse me, then if they ask you, you know, at least you'll know where to get the information to give it to them. Because if you can't produce it within a reasonable amount of time, that's ambiguous again, then they can ticket you for it. So just share that with you. Anyway, be safe out there. I start my like official trainer training tomorrow. Hopefully the weather will be better because I got some historical stuff I want to cover. Maybe make a do a little field trip while I'm here in Southwest Missouri. So take care, be safe, and we'll catch you next time on Tim Travels. Bye.